Hello everyone, thank you for joining us on this edition of The Inside. I am Babler Jonathan. Today we are having a conversation on the imperative need for Cameroonians, Africans to come together and make a difference, especially at this point in time when the living conditions of the people in Cameroon, in many African countries, is very poor, and a lot of cries coming up from left and right for change, cries for change in Cameroon, change in different parts of the African continent, notably with regards to the urgent need for the improvement of the living conditions of the people, the living conditions of many Cameroonians who are living below the poverty line, the improvement of governance across the African continent, more specifically in Cameroon with regards to the forthcoming presidential election and issues that have been happening in the country with regards to the presidential election coming. And this election has been qualified by many observers as a crucial moment, a historic moment when Cameroonians have to make the right choice to change the poor socio-economic, political, economic situation of the country, or security situation of the country, which has been worsening for the past decades, over 4 decades and more. The situation remains quite disturbing. Today, we are looking at these issues in this edition of The Inside. Meet our guest in some few seconds. Our guest today is joining us from Georgia, United States of America. His Royal Highness FOSANOH Blaise is the chief of Quingala village in the Libialem Division, southwest region of Cameroon. He is the Secretary General of the Cameroon Community of Georgia, Camoga, a philanthropic entrepreneur and founder and chief executive officer of the FOSANOH Foundation and general manager of First Tires and Auto Care in the United States of America. His foundation aims to touch lives across the world, most especially orphans and the less privileged. He has impacted many orphans in the littoral and southwest regions of Cameroon, and of course vulnerable displaced women in the northwest region of the country. He has been distinguished with many leadership awards in 2018 in Lexington, Kentucky, and 2024 in the Huntsville and Alabama. The Secretary of State of Georgia recently made him a Goodwill Ambassador and honorary citizen for his philanthropic leadership, for his philanthropic work and leadership. His Royal Highness, thank you for joining us today.
You are welcome, Mr. Babla.
Now, Your Royal Highness, I want to have your thoughts about some recent happenings in your home country, in Cameroon. The living conditions of the people is very bad. The bishops cried out during their 48th National Episcopal Conference seminar, the seminar of bishops in Boya, and they said the situation is very disturbing, with many Cameroonians living below the poverty line, unable to have 3 square meals a day. You are in the United States of America. Certainly you are not experiencing this, but you have information about what's happening in the country, the cries coming from your people, even your people in Quingala village in the Libialem Division in the southwest region of the country. What's your take on this?
Well, Mr. Babila, before I start, I would like to say hello to all the televiewers of Equinoxe TV, the People's Channel. And my thought on this remains very, very sad. I've been saddened for a very long time now that we are in this crisis situation. And hopefully we are still very, very positive. And I'm 100% positive that there will be an end to the crisis anytime soon or anytime from now. And I trust the job that the government is doing, the mediation that he's bringing on, we already have the first national dialogue, which we think we should have more dialogues on the tables where we can talk, discuss, and grant, grace to most of these our brothers and sisters that were involved or that has been incarcerated for this purpose. So we are still pleading for the government to look into it. You know, as traditional rulers, we are leaders of everybody, the good ones, the bad ones. So in our dialect, we used to say, when you reach a child with this hand, you take him back with this other hand. Yes, we are at that point where we really need the government, to show some love to his people more and more and put an end finally to this situation. It's very bad and it's sad for all of us. Even here in the United States, we are witnessing it, we are looking at it with our eyes, and we are crying every day with the hope that one day the situation will be calm and my people should be able to fully return home, because they have started going back home to the village. But we pray that we should have 100% return back home. That is my prayer for now.
Right. The situation is further compounded by the security situation in the northwest and southwest regions of the country, the armed conflict raging there for over 8 years now. And your people in Kwengala village are also feeling the effect of the crisis that's been pulling on for over 8 years now, and across the northwest region and even the nation at large, with the economic consequences of the armed conflict raging there. What are your thoughts about this situation of insecurity, making life much more difficult, further complicating the living conditions of the people, especially those who are in those two regions?
Well, environmental situations are not the same everywhere. I can always speak on behalf of the situation for my own division, the BLM, or where I'm from, our subdivision. We have three subdivisions in the BLM. We don't have the same situation. The situation in Alor might not be the same in Fontaine or in Wabane subdivision. So in my own place, my own subdivision, we are having a good return to peace. The villagers are getting back to their farms, to their, and education is going gradually. It might be slow, but it's going. Myself, I have donated a scholarship to students with my foundation last year. So this is to encourage those students that are still going to school and that return home to continue to further their studies. Believe me, Babila or not, nobody is happy when the children sit home for this long without going to school. We want to be educated. You and I are here talking today because we were somehow educated. And we will want all our children, since it's a basic right to them, to exercise that as well. That's why we are encouraging that we should appease our brothers, appease everybody else, stakeholders in this situation, so we can come back to the full normalcy situation. So the security at my own level is a little bit calm now, and we have all the institution functioning, all the delegation at work, the subdivisional officer of Alo is at work, the prefet, the senior DO of the BLM is at work, so all the delegates are at work. We can only thank God for that.
Now, with regards to the poor socio-economic situation of the country and the unstable security situation, some bishops have been saying that the President of the Republic should step aside and allow another person to take over the helm of the state in order to solve these problems and take the nation out of the troubled waters in which it finds itself today. But some traditional rulers like you gathered in the nation's capital, Yaoundé, under the umbrella of the National Traditional Leaders Council, declared that the President of the Republic should stand for re-election, or declared their support to the head of state, and Muslim dignitaries from some regions have also done that. You are a traditional leader. Let me have your idea, your thoughts, your opinion about this.
Personally, on that question, Mr. Babila, I like to stay very, very apolitical in all the actions that I do. So each and every one of us are entitled to our opinion. The bishops were entitled to their opinions, just as the chiefs, the traditional rulers, are also entitled to their opinions. So there will be a time where all of us will be somehow responsible in front of our opinions. So I leave that time to God Almighty and to our ancestors to judge us when that time comes, because I'm not for any political opinion right now. We have organizations of chiefs in all the divisions, the regions, and the national one in Cameroon. Personally, I was not present in that meeting, so I don't know what the agenda of that meeting was. And even if I was there, remember, as a group, as an association, you cannot decide on your own and make a decision, a global impact. If 40 people sit down and 30 of them agree on a certain thing, the 10 others, whether you agree or not, definitely you are in that global acceptance, and that is how most of these situations are. So on that, permit me not to pronounce myself, please.
So the delicate nature of election periods, there have been calls for peace before, during, and after the elections, and with regards to the fact that there is some risk of unrest with regards to some of these things happening concerning the forthcoming presidential election, what will be your message to Cameroonians at this point in time with regards to the huge responsibility ahead of them when they finally go to the polls to choose a leader, to choose another president, to choose a president?
My message to my population and to the population of Cameroon remain the same, constant. Go with what your hearts tell you, vote for who your mind is directed towards to, and make the right choice looking at what your needs are. We all have these needs that we have basic needs. And if you have an opinion contrary to what they have been serving us for the past years, it is left to you as a citizen, as an individual, to get into that ballot box and decide who you want to vote. We want a fair and free where everyone will be contented about it. I will not encourage any other route rather than going to the ballot boxes to vote and make the right choice for the candidate that your heart tells you he will be the rightful person to represent your interest.
Your Majesty, will take a short break, time for us to go to the newsstands and take a look at what the newspapers reported this week. And when we come back, we are focusing on the need for Cameroonians, for Africans to come together and make a difference. The press review. The Post reports that U.S. President Donald Trump is to deport 1,736 Cameroonians living in unlawful situations or having criminal records. The paper questions if the Cameroon Renaissance Movement CRM National President Professor Maurice Kamto will make the presidential cut amid an eligibility crisis. Meantime, the Guardian Post reports that Honorable Jean-Michel Nincher hints on endorsing Professor Kamto as candidate of the Front for Change in Cameroon FCC, though the party is not legalized by the Ministry of Territorial Administration. Another issue of the Guardian Post, municipal updates and the median highlight traditional leaders' support for President Paul Biya ahead of the presidential election. In another issue of municipal updates, Muslim leaders beg President Biya to seek re-election. Cameroon Insider, voter registration drive in Northwest and Southwest, the game plan to beat peculiar challenges. Cameroon Tribune calls for reparation for the atrocities of the French colonial administration in its fight against nationalist fighters in Cameroon between 1945 and 1971, as documented by the Cameroon France Memory Commission. The Guardian Post tells its readers that the interim Minister of Mines has said the government will pursue the exploitation of industrial mines, while the Herald Tribune says Professor Fu Callistus Gentry has vowed to implement President Biya's directives. You're welcome back. We are still with our guest, His Royal Highness FOSANOH Blaise, Chief of Quingala Village in the Libialem Division, Southwest region of Cameroon, Secretary General of the Cameroon Community of Georgia. Now, Your Royal Majesty, tell us, how is the situation in Georgia where you are? And we know that there are about 1,700 Cameroonians living in unlawful situations in the United States who will likely be sent back home in the days ahead with regards to the deportation plan of President Donald Trump. How is it there?
It is a sad situation, my brother Babila. It's a very sad situation to know that some of our children, our sons and daughters, who has been established here in the United States for years now, maybe because of one reason or the other that personally we don't know. I can't tell you that I know, that there will be, there are, unfortunately, on the list of this 1,700 that President Trump wants to send back to Cameroon. All I will say and advise my brothers here in the state of Georgia and the other states of the United States will be to make sure when you get here, make sure you get yourself in the system by having a case. File your paperwork, do things righteously and rightfully to avoid such situations. And other thing that I would say would be, we have our bad attitude sometimes that we import from Cameroon. We take it from Cameroon to here in the state. Some of us are very violent with our wives. Some of us are violent with our children. And when you get here, coming from a fatherland that we have, Cameroon, to a motherland in the United States, you have to kill all those bad behavior of yours, because here the law doesn't play. So I believe that those 1,700 Cameroonians are some of them that have criminal records. But Donald Trump is not sending everybody back. He's not just walking on the street and picking people to send back to their home countries. Those are the individuals that came here, and for some reason or the other, they found themselves in a situation where they could not control their anger, their emotions. Some of them went drinking, drunk, and drive, and they got caught in driving under the influence. And those charges come down as criminal charges, and they affect you in the long run when you proceed to request for adjustment of status in the United States. So In Georgia right now, I don't personally know any Cameroonian concerned being in that list. So hopefully we will become, and if we have any brother or sister in that situation here, we will not hesitate to mobilize our resources that we have first. We have many Cameroonian lawyers here that we can mobilize to ask them to intervene in the situations of those people before a final takeaway decision can be made on their situation. If at all we identify any Cameroonian in the state of Georgia in that list. Thank you.
Right. So let's now talk about the need to come together to make a difference. The need for Cameroonians to come together. The need for Africans to come together to make a difference. How crucial is this at this point in time, beginning from Cameroon?
It's very, very important. That's why here in the state of Georgia, since 2018, I have been part of this organization called the Cameroonian Community of Georgia, in which I became the Secretary General. One of our goals is to mobilize all the Cameroonian resources, all the associations of Cameroonians here, cultural associations, developmental associations. They are all affiliated with us, and we aim to keep ourselves together, promote ourselves, promote our businesses, encourage development back home, encourage coming together, and encourage love, staying together as one people in the United States. So this is at the level
what
of
will
the
you tell
community
Cameroonians
of Georgia
with regards to the need for them to come together and make a difference and change the current situation and change their difficult living conditions and change governance and deal with issues like corruption, embezzlement, mismanagement of public funds? What will you tell Cameroonians about the need for them to come together to fight these issues?
It's very, very important that each and every one of us at our individual levels should take responsibilities. We all have families somewhere in Cameroon. We all have needs that we want to see grow in Cameroon or materialize. So this is the call again for all individuals here, Cameroonians particularly. I'm a member of an organization called the World Coming Together to Make a Difference, World. And that organization is bringing in the upcoming month of March 13, the African kings and queens from all over Africa, Senegal, Benin, and Cameroon. So we are coming here to meet with state representatives at the capital here in Georgia, where we will have fruitful exchange. And those exchange will definitely benefit our home countries, because each king coming will go back home with something that can help him develop his own kingdom, his own village, his own division or region. We do this every year. It's a long-lasting relationship that we are creating with this particular state of Georgia, and we are expecting all these guests to be here so we can together create that global impact and at our various levels of execution.
Shortly. But first, I just want you to be a little more elaborate in terms of actions and decisions in the aspect of coming together to make a difference. With regards to Cameroon, when you tell people to come together and make a difference in action, in decision, in thoughts, in perspectives. What exactly are you referring to when you're telling people in Cameroon to come together at this point to bring about, why not the change that many Cameroonians are talking about today?
Again, we are a non-profit organization, be it the Cameroonian community of Georgia or the other organization, we're coming together to make a difference. These are non-profit organizations and they are apolitical. So we cannot bring together Africans, Cameroonians, to go back home or to incite any political change. We invest more in cultural development. We invest more in social development. So all organizations affiliated with us or people coming with us to us, they go back home with water projects, electricity projects, road projects, farm projects, etc., etc. And this creates a huge impact in their various communities. Employment, we have development that follows as well. This is our scope of work. We don't go beside or out of that scope. Politics, no.
Much of what you're talking about will depend to a large extent on politics, the governance of the country, the environment in which all of that has to be done, or all of that have to be done, will depend largely on the governance of the country. But then, you're bringing together queens and kings. These are very important personalities when we look at the way Africans do things. When we look at, even though in some communities, even here in Cameroon, traditional leaders have practically lost their respect. They have practically, they don't have that respect anymore. But when we look at the important role that queens and kings play in the African society, what do you want to achieve by bringing them together in Georgia?
The achievements are huge. They are huge and they go in different levels. We have personal achievements that the kings, when they got here, we can never minimize or underlook a card, a contact card received from the governor of the state of Georgia, a mayor of the Atlanta city or any other city, a representative from the state of Georgia, a senator from the state of Georgia. You never know to what point those contacts can lead you to. So at the personal level, it's a big, big gain for those traditional rulers visiting the United States or Georgia. And now at a global level, when they will get here, there will be a follow-up committee that we will put in place to continue that exchange, to continue interacting with the state official of Georgia, such a way that we will propose some projects to them that will be materialized in Cameroon, in Senegal, in Benin, in Ivory Coast. So we are not just coming with our empty hands. We are coming to meet them with our hands full of projects and $1 million projects. This will be, again, if we come, for instance, in Northwest, Mr. Babila, and we want to build potable waters, borehole waters in many villages in the Northwest. Don't you see the impact of that as far as development is concerned? We have a huge impact on that. People will drink potable water. We have diseases that will be free from all this cholera and so on and so forth. So we are not just coming empty-handed. there will be a follow-up on that, and definitely at all levels, be it individual or collective level, we will benefit. Our communities will also benefit from those meetings.
The kings and queens will be coming from different parts of the African continent. Can you give us more information on that?
Right. Yes. We have the president of the Pan-African Traditional Council and Customary Authorities. He is a Cameroonian. He is coming with his delegation, if not his executive. And his delegation is made of every other African kings and queens that are part of the organization. They are from Benin, they are from Ivory Coast, they are from Congo, they are from Senegal for now, and every other people that will be joining the organization, we will be receiving them here in the United States.
You also be discussing efforts to restore the authority and respect of traditional rulers in areas where the traditional administration is somehow under some kind of attack with regards to the respect that is given to traditional rulers. Here in Cameroon, for example, in many parts of the country, in the littoral, in the center region, and other parts of the country, even in the southwest region, traditional authorities are no longer as respected as they used to be, and no longer having that authority that they wield upon the people. And this could be a hindrance to all your efforts to bring about change in terms of developmental activities within the communities. Are you thinking about discussing this with the traditional leaders, the queens and the kings who will be coming?
Definitely. There's a need returning back to our roots, because I feel like there is a disconnection between traditional authorities and their ancestors. Our ancestors they had a certain way to do things and keep their authority, their respect vis-a-vis their population. Unfortunately, nowadays, we, the traditional rulers, I would say, have failed to uphold and to keep those values, those ancestral values, to keep that connection with our ancestors and our population. I remember the population used to go to the palaces when they had issues. None of them were going to the police or to the gendarmerie. They were all going to the palaces, and the chief, with his traditional council, was able to resolve issues that the administration could not resolve. So, but nowadays is the opposite. Even us, the chiefs, when we have issue, we go first to the government, to the administration, before even thinking about our traditional council. So it is sad, it is very unfortunate that we find ourselves in that situation, and that is why I said we have that need. It's very important that traditional rulers get back on those roads and reconnect themselves back to the population and to the ancestors. It's very, very, very important. Unfortunately, we are where we are today. Hopefully, things will get to change one day. And that is a prayer that I have. Young as I am, I would like to see another generation of leaders, traditional leaders, who deserve the full and the entire respect of their population first. And secondly, of the state authorities, because we do not only lose that respect vis-a-vis the population, if state authorities will lose that respect. That's why you could see a government official with his pen writing stuff against a chief, a paramount ruler, who has been enthroned by inheritance. That is why we are facing all these situations nowadays. Our hope remains open that one day, through the sensitizations, through the community, the workshops that we are having internationally, we can have some positive impact and get back to our roots as traditional rulers.
Interviews of the week now. We'll be right back in some few minutes. Interviews of the week.
What is important is a political program and not whether you're running for presidency or not. But what is most important is to send out the political program that seeks to resolve the numerous problems that Cameroon is facing today. And you can see that has been embedded in our 12 key points that seeks to solve the problems that are affecting Cameroon. Of course, you took part in this session and you actually saw these 12 key points. And of course, you realized one of them has to do with restructuring Cameroon, looking at the Cameroon that resembles us and brings us together, unlike what we're facing today, especially in the